What if everything you've been told about success is wrong? What if the secret to getting everything you want in 2026 isn't grinding harder, hustling 247, or forcing outcomes through sheer willpower, but actually letting go? Right now, picture this. You've set big goals for the year ahead. A better career, financial freedom, deeper relationships, real inner peace. You're motivated, you're planning, you're taking action. But deep down, there's this constant pressure, this quiet fear that if it doesn't happen, you'll be a failure. That anxiety keeps you checking your bank account, refreshing your inbox, overthinking every decision, second-guessing every step. And the cruel irony? The more desperately you need it to happen, the more it slips away. Your desperation is the one thing blocking your dreams. Your anxiety is the invisible wall you've built between you and abundance. The ancient Stoics, emperors like Marcus Aurelius, who ruled empires in chaos, former slaves like Epictetus, who built unbreakable minds, and practical philosophers like Seneca, they all discovered the same shocking truth 2,000 years ago. Neediness repels success. The tighter you grip, the more life pulls away. The moment your happiness, your identity, your sense of worth becomes tied to an outcome, you enter a frequency of lack, and lack attracts more lack. But there is another way. It's called relaxed intention. This is not passive wishing. This is not giving up. This is wanting something deeply, while being completely at peace if it never arrives. It's taking aligned action, without being emotionally attached to the result. It's the calm, confident openness that paradoxically becomes the most magnetic force in reality. Forget hustle culture that tells you to run faster, work longer, force more. The Stoics gave us something far more powerful, a manual for reality, a way to stop fighting the river of life and start letting it carry you directly toward your destiny. Today, I'm going to show you 10 Stoic rules that will help you manifest everything you truly want in 2026. Not through struggle, but through alignment, presence, and inner freedom. Each rule comes with clear, practical ways to apply it right now in your career, your finances, your relationships, and your peace of mind. Rule number 5 is the one most people get completely backwards. They believe constant action and pushing is the path to success. In reality, strategic stillness is often the missing piece that allows everything else to flow. If you're tired of chasing, tired of anxiety quietly sabotaging your progress, tired of feeling like no matter how hard you try, something is still blocking you, then stay with me. This can change everything. Right now, hit that like button if you're ready to shift. Type in the comments, "I am ready," and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. This is the moment your old, desperate, chasing version of yourself ends, and the calm, aligned, magnetic version begins. Let's begin with Rule 1, Detach Desire, the greatest paradox of manifestation. Welcome to the very first rule. And yes, this may be the most counterintuitive thing you'll hear today. Detached desire. At first, it almost sounds cruel. You've spent years visualizing, setting goals, affirming, scripting, trying to feel the emotions of already having what you want. And now I'm telling you that the real key is this. You must want it deeply, but not need it at all. That contradiction is not a mistake. It's the paradox the Stoics mastered, and it's the foundation of real manifestation power. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers in history, said it plainly: wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. He wasn't condemning desire. He was warning against needy desire. Here's what most people do wrong in 2026, just like every year before. You set a big goal. Maybe it's massive wealth. Maybe it's a dream relationship. Maybe it's building something meaningful. Maybe it's finally having inner peace that doesn't collapse under pressure. And without realizing it, your entire emotional state becomes conditional. If the numbers go up, you feel confident and alive. If they stall, you feel behind. If someone texts back, you relax. If they don't, you spiral. The moment your happiness, identity, or sense of worth depends on an external outcome, you drop into the frequency of lack. And lack repels what you're trying to attract. Neediness is anti-magnetic. Desperation pushes success away faster than almost anything else. You've felt this before. The more urgently you need money to arrive, the tighter your energy becomes. The more afraid you are of losing someone, the more controlling you act. The harder you try to force growth, the more resistance appears. That's not coincidence. That's how reality responds to tension. Now watch what happens when you flip it. Detached desire, what the Stoics called preferred indifference, changes everything. You still want the goal. You still take action. You still plan, work, visualize, and improve. But emotionally, you train yourself to be okay, even if it never arrives the way you imagined. Quietly, sincerely, you tell yourself each day, I would love to achieve this in 2026. I'm taking aligned action, and I am already whole, peaceful, and worthy regardless of the outcome. Feel that shift. That single sentence moves you from grasping to open, from anxious to grounded, from scarcity to quiet abundance. And here's what almost no one tells you. That calm openness is one of the most attractive states a human being can embody. When you stop leaking energy through fear and urgency, you become more creative because your nervous system isn't trapped in survival mode. More intuitive because you can hear signals you were too tense to notice. And more magnetic because people and opportunities are drawn to someone who isn't begging life to validate them. Imagine this in real life. In 2026, you're building a business. Old version. Every slow week feels like failure. You over-email. You discount out of fear. You try too hard in meetings. People sense it and pull away. New version. You want the clients. You prepare excellent work. You reach out with clarity. But internally you know, if this doesn't work, I'm still building something valuable. I'm still learning. I'm still whole. Your voice steadies. Your ideas sharpen. Your presence relaxes. And ironically, results improve. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself during war, plague, and betrayal. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Your manifestation power in 2026 begins with the same realization. You don't need the outcome to be okay. The outcome needs you to be okay, calm, grounded, already abundant inside, so it can flow toward you. How to practice detached desire this week. Write down your top 1 to 3 goals for 2026. Under each, write this sentence. I would deeply love this, and I am already whole, peaceful, and worthy without it. Read it slowly each morning. Let your body feel it, not just your mind. When anxiety appears, repeat silently. I want this. I do not need this to be happy. I am safe either way. Notice the lightness that follows. That lightness is the signal. That is the frequency of real manifestation. If this first rule hits something inside you, comment below. I desire from a place of peace. Let that declaration anchor in. And when you're ready, stay with me, because rule 2 is where your real power actually lives. Let's continue. Rule Doze. Present moment magnetism, where real manifestation actually happens. If rule 1 was about releasing emotional attachment to outcomes, then rule 2 answers a deeper question. Where does the power to create those outcomes actually live? Not in 2026, when everything finally works out. Not last year, where you think you missed your chance. Not next quarter, when conditions might be perfect. Your power exists only here, only now. This is why Seneca wrote, True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Most people read that and nod. Very few actually live it. Because most people are not present at all. They are ghosts in their own lives. Haunted by yesterday, the rejection, the argument, the mistake, the missed opportunity. Terrified of tomorrow. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm still stuck? What if I'm alone? So they spend most of their mental energy time traveling, and only a tiny fraction where creation is possible. Here's the hard truth. You cannot manifest anything meaningful from a scattered mind. When your attention is fractured, part in regret, part in worry, part in fantasy, your energy leaks in every direction. You become like a radio, trying to tune into 10 stations at once. Nothing comes through clearly. But when you return fully to this moment, something subtle and powerful happens. Your perception sharpens, and you start noticing what was always there. A quiet opening in a casual conversation. A subtle inner yes or no you used to ignore. An idea that arrives unforced. A person who appears at the exact right moment. These are not coincidences. They are the breadcrumbs of manifestation. But you only see them when you are here. This is why the present moment is magnetic in 2026. When you live fully in the now, your decisions become cleaner. You stop reacting from old wounds or future fear. You respond from clarity. Your energy becomes coherent. Instead of leaking everywhere, your attention becomes focused like a beam of light, and focused energy attracts aligned people, ideas, and timing. Most importantly, you stop missing doors that are already open. Manifestation rarely arrives as dramatic lightning. It usually arrives quietly, and most people walk past it because their mind is somewhere else. Picture this in real life. You're trying to grow your income or build a meaningful relationship. Old version. Mornings replay last year's failures. Afternoons worry about money 6 months from now. Evenings fantasize about a future where everything is finally okay. You're physically present, but mentally absent. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Results stay average. New version. You train yourself again and again to return to now. You feel your feet on the ground. You listen fully when someone speaks. You give your full attention to the task in front of you. And suddenly, things shift. You notice hints of opportunity in conversation. Ideas flow more easily because your mind isn't noisy. People feel seen and they open up. Synchronicities increase, not because you forced them, but because you stopped missing them. You didn't try harder. You stopped being absent. How to practice present moment magnetism this week. Use a simple Stoic anchor throughout the day. Pause and ask, where is my attention right now? If it's in the past or future, gently bring it back. Feel your breath. Notice one physical sensation. That's enough. Choose one activity daily and give it full attention. No multitasking. No mental escape. Just presence. In the evening, ask not, what did I achieve? But what did I notice today because I was present? And each morning, before the world pulls you outward, say quietly, today, my power lives here. In this moment, the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more life responds differently. You become magnetic, not because you're chasing outcomes, but because you're finally here to receive what's already reaching for you. If this rule landed, comment below. I live in the now. Let that anchor settle. And stay with me, because next comes Rule 3, where resistance stops blocking you and starts building you. Rule 3, the alchemy of obstacles, turning resistance into your greatest ally. By now, something important has already shifted. You've begun loosening your grip on needy desire. You've started anchoring your power in the present moment. Now we reach the rule that separates people who manifest, occasionally, from those who seem to live in an entirely different reality. The alchemy of obstacles. Most people see resistance as proof the universe is against them. The Stoics saw resistance as proof the universe was training them. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire under war, plague, betrayal, and constant loss, wrote one of the most ruthless lines in philosophy. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Notice what he did not say. He didn't say, avoid the obstacle. He didn't say, wish it away. He said the obstacle is the path. This isn't motivational language. It's reality engineering. Most people live inside one of two stories. Story 1, the common story, the one most people repeat in 2026. The deal falls through. This always happens to me. I'm cursed. The client says, no, I'm not good enough. I should quit. The relationship ends. Love isn't for me. I'll always be alone. Money gets tight. The system is rigged. I'll never catch up. A health issue appears. Why is life unfair? I can't catch a break. Every obstacle becomes evidence against their future. They shrink. They complain. They stall. And slowly, the life they want moves further away. Story 2, the Stoic story. The alchemical story. The deal falls through. This just filtered out the wrong fit. What is this teaching me about discernment? The client says no. Excellent. The right yes is getting closer. The relationship ends. This pain is clearing space for someone aligned with who I'm becoming. Money tightens. This pressure is sharpening my creativity and value. A health issue appears. This is the alarm. Time to treat my body with respect. They don't pretend it feels good. They don't fake positivity, but they refuse to interpret resistance as proof of failure. Instead, they ask the Stoic question, what capability is this situation forcing me to develop right now? And almost always, the answer is exactly what they'll need to hold the success they're asking for. Think about it clearly. If life handed you everything instantly, money, status, freedom, love, without resistance, you would likely lose it or destroy it. Not because you're weak, but because you haven't yet become the person who can sustain it. Obstacles are not punishments. They are custom-built preparation. Rejection trains discernment. Delay trains patience. Failure trains correction. Betrayal trains boundaries. Pressure trains value creation. Every time you work with resistance, instead of fighting or fleeing it, you increase your capacity. A real example for 2026. You launch a business or side project. The website crashes. Ads fail. A hire doesn't work out. Cash flow feels brutal. Most people quit around month 4 or 5 and say, the timing wasn't right. But with the alchemical mindset, every crash teaches better systems. Every ban forces diversification. Every bad hire sharpens intuition. Every tight month strengthens execution. When the breakthrough finally arrives, and it usually does, you are no longer the person who started. You are someone who can hold success. How to practice the alchemy of obstacles this week. Name the obstacle clearly. The obstacle right now is, refuse the victim story. Catch thoughts like, this means I'm failing, and replace them with, this is happening for me, not to me. Extract the lesson. Write the answers. What skill is this forcing me to develop? How is this preparing me for what I want? What would I miss learning if this didn't exist? Create a one-sentence reframe. The obstacle is the way. This is training. At week's end, ask, what pearl did this irritation create? The oyster turns sand into a pearl. You turn resistance into wisdom. When you stop fearing obstacles, life changes its tone with you. Resistance no longer threatens you. It sharpens you. If this clicked, comment below. My resistance is my teacher. And when you're ready, The next rule will give you something no circumstance can ever take from you, no matter what happens in 2026. Rule 4. Inner authority. The one thing no one can ever take from you. Up to this point, you've already done something most people never do. You've loosened emotional neediness. You've brought your power back into the present moment. You've stopped seeing obstacles as enemies and started seeing them as training. Now we arrive at the foundation that makes all of that stick. Inner authority. This is the truth that quietly breaks almost every invisible chain people live under. No one controls your inner world unless you hand them the keys. Yet look around in 2026. Most people have given those keys away without even noticing. Their peace rises and falls with their bank balance. Their confidence depends on what their boss, partner, or parents think. Their mood is hijacked by headlines, notifications, likes, silence, rejection, numbers on a screen. One message can lift them. One delay can collapse them. Every time something external moves, their inner state moves with it. That is not responsiveness. That is captivity. The Stoics named the core distinction that separates freedom from slavery. What is up to us and what is not. Epictetus, who went from a disabled slave to teaching emperors, made it unmistakably clear. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He wasn't offering comfort. He was stating jurisdiction. You do not own outcomes. You do not command markets, people, timing, or history. What you do own fully, completely, is your judgments, your choices, and your responses. And the moment you stop trying to control what was never yours, something radical happens. You take your power back. Here's what inner authority looks like in real life. Someone criticizes your work. You feel the sting, but you don't let their words rewrite your worth. You ask calmly, is this useful? If yes, you apply it. If not, you release it. An opportunity falls through. You don't spiral into, I'm failing. You say, this happened. My value didn't change. What's my next aligned move? Money tightens. You don't panic and make desperate decisions. You return to what you control. Effort, learning, integrity. Someone disrespects you or disappears. You don't chase validation or revenge. You decide, I control how I treat myself. That is enough. From this place, your decisions change. They stop coming from fear, shame, or approval seeking. They come from command. And this is where manifestation shifts. When your inner state is no longer hostage to outcomes, you stop radiating lack. You stop broadcasting, please make this work. You begin radiating, I am already complete, and I move from wholeness. That state is magnetic. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. Life responds differently to someone who is emotionally sovereign. How to start reclaiming inner authority this week. Each morning, before the world reaches you, pause. Hand on chest. One breath. How do I choose to meet today, regardless of what happens? Name the state. Decide it. Own it. Throughout the day, use one filter. Is this within my control or outside it? If it's not yours, release it. If it is, act calmly. Choose one place where you usually give your peace away. This week, decide, my peace is not for sale. And each evening, review without judgment, where did I keep my power today? Where did I hand it away? Then remind yourself, tomorrow I choose again. As this becomes consistent, you'll notice something quietly extraordinary. The world doesn't push you around the way it used to, not because it changed, but because you stopped changing yourself every time it moved. You become steady. Steady is rare. Rare is valuable. And valuable attracts. If this rule is landing for you, if you can feel the difference between I need this to be okay and I am okay, and this would be a meaningful addition, anchor it now. Comment below. I command my peace. And when you're ready, the next rule will challenge one of the biggest lies of modern culture. That constant action is power. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Rule 5. Strategic stillness. The power most people fear and misunderstand. By now, you've already laid 4 foundations most people never touch. You've learned how to want without needing, how to live where creation actually happens, how to turn resistance into training, and how to own your inner state no matter what moves around you. Now we reach the rule where many people stall, and paradoxically, the rule that creates the biggest leap once it finally clicks: strategic stillness. At first glance, this sounds like laziness, almost irresponsible. We live in a culture that worships constant motion. More action, more hustle, more optimization. 5A. Routines. Endless productivity systems. The belief that if you're not doing something, you're falling behind. But the Stoics and every truly effective person in history understood something radically different. The most powerful action is often inaction, not because you're quitting, not because you're afraid, but because you're wise enough to recognize when pushing harder only creates more resistance and drives the very thing you want further away. Seneca warned us of this long ago. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Most of that waste doesn't come from rest. It comes from frantic, compulsive action, moving just to feel productive, even when clarity and alignment aren't there. There are 2 ways people respond to uncertainty and delay. The common way, the one that drains manifestation power. You want a breakthrough in 2026. More money, more growth, clarity in a relationship, a major shift. It hasn't arrived yet, so you double down. More messages, more posts, more forcing, lower standards, over-explaining, obsessive checking. You tell yourself, if I just do more, it will happen faster. But what actually happens is this: your energy becomes tense, then frantic, then needy. People feel it. Opportunities retract. You burn out or make sloppy decisions. The thing you want moves even further away. Then there's the Stoic way: strategic stillness. You still want the outcome. You haven't quit, but you recognize a crucial truth. You've already done what was yours to do for now. And so the next move isn't more effort, it's trust. You become like a chess master who doesn't move just because it's their turn. They wait, they observe, they let the board reveal itself. Internally, you say, I planted the seed. I took aligned action today. Now I will be still enough for life to respond. That stillness is not passive. It is active trust. Here's why this becomes magnetic in 2026. Stillness preserves energy instead of leaking it through anxiety. That stored energy turns into clarity, intuition, and creativity. Stillness stops you from interfering with timing. Many manifestations are delayed, not because you didn't do enough, but because you kept interrupting the process with premature action. And most importantly, stillness changes your presence. Frantic energy repels. Calm certainty attracts. When you can sit in uncertainty without fidgeting, people feel safe around you. And what feels safe flows. Picture a real situation this year. You've built the offer. You've shown up consistently. You've reached out with intention. Then, silence. Old version panics. Strategic stillness pauses and asks one question: have I already done what was mine to do right now? If the answer is yes, then the next action is no action. You walk, you read, you work on something else with full presence. You sit quietly and repeat, I trust the timing. I am ready when it arrives. And often without warning, the message comes, the opportunity appears. The right person reaches out, not because you forced it, because you finally made space for it. How to practice strategic stillness this week. Notice the urge to force. Label it gently. This is impatience. Use the 24-hour pause before sending, chasing, or pushing weight. Is this coming from fear or wisdom? Create daily stillness. 5 to 15 minutes. No phone, no agenda, just breath and trust. Anchor this sentence. I have done my part. Now I allow life to do its part. And when you choose stillness instead of panic, acknowledge it. That was power. Strategic stillness is not the absence of action. It is the presence of trust. And trust is one of the rarest and most attractive forces in the world. If this rule feels uncomfortable, but also strangely relieving, anchor it now. Comment below. I trust the pause. And when you're ready, the next rule will shift you from chasing more to living from enough. Rule 6. The philosophy of enough. The frequency that attracts more by needing less. Up to this point, you've already dismantled several invisible traps. You've learned how to want without needing. How to live where power actually exists. How to turn resistance into training. How to reclaim command over your inner world. And how to pause without fear. Now we arrive at one of the most quietly revolutionary rules of all. The philosophy of enough. This is the rule that flips the modern manifestation script completely upside down. Most people are taught explicitly or subtly that more is the answer. More money means safety. More attention means worth. More progress means peace. More validation means happiness. So they live in a constant state of not yet. Not enough money, anxiety. Not enough progress, self-criticism. Not enough recognition, doubt. Not enough love, emptiness. Over time, not enough becomes their emotional baseline. And that baseline lack is exactly what keeps reproducing itself. The Stoics saw through this illusion with ruthless clarity. Epictetus put it simply. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. And Seneca echoed the same truth from another angle. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Notice the shift. Lack is not created by what you don't have. Lack is created by how you relate to what you already have. When you live inside the feeling of not enough, you broadcast scarcity, no matter how ambitious you are. No matter how hard you work, that signal repels abundance. But when you consciously choose the feeling of enough, not as a future destination, but as a present stance, something subtle and powerful changes. You stop chasing and you start magnetizing. Here's what enough actually looks like in daily life in 2026. You look at your bank account, even if it's not where you want it yet, and think, this is enough to breathe, eat, and keep moving today. I'm grateful for that. A week ends slower than hoped. Instead of, I'm behind, you feel, I showed up, I learned. That is enough for this chapter. Someone doesn't choose you, respond, or validate you. The sting is there, but beneath it is a steadiness. My worth isn't on trial. I am enough. You see others winning online. Instead of comparison, there's calm recognition. They're on their path. I'm on mine. This is enough for now. This is not denial. It's not toxic positivity. It's radical acceptance of the present, paired with quiet ambition for the future. You still want more. Better finances, deeper relationships, greater freedom. You just don't need more to feel okay. And that single emotional pivot changes everything. Here's why the feeling of enough is one of the most powerful manifestation frequencies. It removes resistance. When you feel enough, you stop fighting life and leaking energy through comparison and complaint. It raises your baseline state. Gratitude combined with sufficiency creates calm joy. And calm joy attracts. It allows you to receive. A person who feels not enough often blocks good things through self-sabotage. A person who feels enough can actually hold what arrives. And it compounds. Small moments of this is enough. Retrain your nervous system. Scarcity stops being default. Abundance becomes identity. Picture this in 2026. You're working toward a major financial goal. Old pattern. Every number check triggers pressure, rushed decisions, burnout, stalled growth. New pattern. Each morning, you acknowledge what's already present. Skills, learning, connections, momentum, and feel. This is enough to keep going. The pressure drops. Creativity rises. Decisions improve. People feel safe collaborating with you. The money doesn't arrive because you finally earned worth. It arrives because you stopped repelling it with the energy of lack. How to practice the philosophy of enough this week. Each morning, name 3 things that are already enough right now. Feel them in your body. When the not enough voice appears, pause and say, right now, this is enough. I can breathe. I can continue. End gratitude. Sentences without but. I'm grateful for this. Full stop. And each evening, name one moment that was enough today without comparison. The philosophy of enough is not the end of ambition. It is the purification of ambition. You still aim high. You still act with excellence. But you move from fullness, not emptiness. And fullness is one of the rarest and most magnetic states a human can embody. If this rule is stirring something inside you, anchor it now. Comment below, I am enough now. Let it settle. And when you're ready, the next rule will show you how dropping the mask allows what's truly meant for you to finally find you. Rule 7. Authentic expression. Stop hiding. Start receiving what's truly meant for you. By now, you've built a powerful inner foundation. You've learned how to want without clinging, how to live fully in the present, how to turn obstacles into training, how to command your inner state, how to trust timing without panic, how to live from enough instead of lack. Now we reach the rule that quietly removes one of the biggest invisible blocks to manifestation: authentic expression. This rule sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things most people ever practice. Because the truth is this: life cannot deliver what is truly meant for you if you are pretending to be someone else. Every time you wear a mask to be liked, to be accepted, to avoid conflict, to look successful, to appear spiritual, or to fit into expectations, you distort the signal you're sending out. And life always responds to the signal, not the intention behind it, not the potential underneath it, only the signal. So, what comes back feels off. Opportunities that don't quite fit. Relationships that require constant performance. Praise that doesn't land because it isn't for the real you. Money that arrives with invisible strings. Success that looks right but feels hollow. The Stoics were uncompromising on this point. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one, not appear to be one. Not convince others you are one. Just be quietly, consistently, even when no one is watching." Epictetus pushed it even further. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, be willing to look strange, out of step, unimpressive, or too much in someone else's eyes, if that's the cost of being real. Because authenticity is not about being loud or provocative. It's about alignment. Your outer expression matching your inner truth. Here's how inauthentic expression quietly blocks manifestation, especially in 2026. Most people are performing more than they realize. They post what they think will get approval, not what they care about. They say yes to opportunities that don't excite them because it looks good. They soften opinions to avoid discomfort. They hide real ambitions so they don't sound unrealistic. They stay in environments where they can't fully be themselves. Each moment feels small, but each one sends the same message inward. It's not safe to be me. And life mirrors that belief back. You attract people who like the mask. You receive opportunities that require you to keep wearing it. You manifest results that feel empty because they weren't built on truth. Now watch what happens when you choose authentic expression. When you start showing up as you actually are, values, edges, doubts, excitement, depth, the field reorganizes. Some people drift away. That part hurts at first. But what replaces them is different. The people who stay really stay. Conversations deepen faster. Opportunities feel aligned instead of heavy. Recognition lands because it's aimed at the real you. Work feels meaningful instead of performative. Picture this. In 2026, you're building a business, a brand, or simply trying to connect with people who genuinely understand you. The old way copies trends, softens truth, avoids vulnerability. It grows, but shallowly. The authentic way does something riskier. You speak in your real voice, even if it's quieter, sharper, stranger, or more specific. You say no to things that don't fit, even when they pay. You admit when you don't know. You share what actually moves you. At first, numbers might dip. Some people leave. Then, something changes. The ones who stay engage deeply. They share your work because it resonates. Collaborations feel natural. Opportunities arrive that feel like, this was made for me. Growth becomes slower but real, and real growth compounds. How to practice authentic expression this week. Each day, choose one place to be honest instead of polished. One sentence, one post, one conversation. Before speaking or acting, ask, is this coming from who I am or who I think I should be? Say no once this week in service of truth. Feel the relief. And each morning, look at yourself and say, I give myself permission to be real today. Whatever I lose by being authentic was never meant to stay. Whatever finds me because I'm real was always meant for me. Authentic expression isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about being unmistakable. And when you become unmistakable, life stops giving you generic results. It starts giving you what was always meant for the real you. If this rule feels both terrifying and freeing, anchor it now. Comment below, I am authentic. And when you're ready, the next rule will show you how to stop fighting life's timing and start moving in harmony with it. Rule 8. Trust in divine timing. Stop fighting the when. Start honoring the flow. By now, you've built a complete inner system. You no longer cling desperately to outcomes. Your power lives in the present. Obstacles have become teachers. Your inner world is no longer negotiable. You know when to act and when to pause. You live from enough. You show up as who you truly are. Now we arrive at the rule that ties all of this together and removes the final, most stubborn source of self-created resistance. Trust in divine timing. This rule confronts the one habit that destroys more manifestations than almost anything else: impatience. Impatience isn't just annoyance. It's a quiet rebellion against the intelligence of life. It sounds like this inside your mind. I know better than reality when this should happen. You're too slow. Give it to me now. The Stoics saw impatience not as motivation but as arrogance. And a costly one. Seneca wrote, fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. And Epictetus said it even more plainly. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. In other words, stop arguing with what is. Stop treating delay as punishment. Stop translating not yet into never. When you fight timing, you're not just fighting a calendar. You're fighting an invisible orchestration, aligning people, lessons, protection, readiness, and conditions you cannot yet see. There are two relationships people have with time. The first is the common one. and it quietly blocks manifestation in 2026. You set a goal, then you secretly attach a deadline. By Q2, by my birthday, before the year ends, before I turn this age. When that deadline passes without results, panic sets in. It's taking too long. Maybe it's not meant for me. Everyone else is ahead. Urgency turns into tension. Tension lowers clarity. Decisions get rushed. Quality drops. Resistance increases. Delays stretch even longer. Time becomes the enemy, and the cycle feeds itself. The second relationship is the Stoic one. You still have intentions, you still have preferences, but you no longer issue ultimatums to life. You understand this distinction. Your job is to act with excellence, integrity, and consistency. Life's job is to arrange the sequence. You say and mean it. What is meant for me will not miss me. What is not meant for me will not reach me. I will do what is mine to do today and release the timeline. This is not giving up. It's releasing control of what was never yours, so you can focus fully on what is. Here's why trusting timing actually accelerates manifestation in 2026. It removes pressure, and pressure distorts intuition. It prevents premature forcing, which ruins fragile opportunities. It allows protective delays. Some no's are life-saving you. And it sharpens synchronicity, because you're no longer kicking down the wrong doors. Picture this year. You've done the work. You've shown up consistently. You've been authentic. But months have passed, and the breakthrough hasn't landed. Old patterns spirals into doubt or forced mediocrity. The trusting pattern pauses and says, I've done what was mine to do. The rest is unfolding beyond my view. I trust the timing. Then you return to living well today, caring for your body, enjoying small wins, staying open. And often right there the pieces begin to move. An unexpected introduction, a door you couldn't have forced, an internal shift that finally completes. How to practice trust in divine timing this week. When impatience rises, name it gently. This is impatience. Then breathe and say, I release the when. Once a day, write or speak. I trust that what is mine will arrive at the right moment. Until then, I live well and stay open. When something is delayed, ask, how might this be protecting or preparing me? And once this week, cross out a deadline you've been gripping. Write instead, I trust the flow. Trust in timing is not passive waiting. It is active faith in motion. You keep moving forward without the violence of control. And when you do, manifestation stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like a dance. If this rule brings both relief and discomfort, anchor it now. Comment below. I trust the timing. And when you're ready, the next rule will show you how to direct the invisible force that shapes everything you experience. Rule 9. Focused attention. The invisible force that shapes reality. We are now very close to completing the full system. By this point, you've already learned how to desire without clinging, how to live where power actually exists, how to turn resistance into strength, how to command your inner world, how to pause without fear, how to live from enough, how to be real, and how to trust timing. Now we arrive at the rule where everything becomes unmistakably concrete. Focused attention. This is not a soft idea. This is not motivational language. This is the Stoic version of what modern culture loosely calls manifestation, but stripped of fantasy and grounded in cause and effect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." He wasn't being poetic. He was describing a mechanism. Your attention is not passive. It is creative. Whatever you consistently focus on, emotionally, mentally, repeatedly, you feed with energy. You strengthen neural pathways. You amplify patterns. And over time, reality begins to echo that focus back to you. Most people scatter their attention without realizing it. A few minutes worrying about money. A few minutes comparing themselves to someone else's life. A few minutes replaying an old argument. A few moments imagining a better future, immediately drowned out by distraction, doubt, or noise. They wonder why their manifestations are weak, inconsistent, or never quite land. Here is the truth, brutal but freeing. You don't get what you want in theory. You get more of what you consistently give your attention to, not your New Year's intentions, not your affirmations, your actual mental diet. In 2026, attention shows up in two forms. Scattered attention, the default mode for most people. I want abundance, while thinking constantly about lack. I want peace, while feeding drama and resentment. I want deep relationships, while numbing out with shallow distraction. The signal is mixed. The energy is diluted. The results reflect that. You get partial wins, almost breakthroughs. Things that start but don't sustain. Focused attention, the Stoic discipline. Here, you choose deliberately what deserves space in your mind. And once chosen, you protect it. You train your attention to return again and again to what you are building. Not perfectly, but consistently, you dwell on possibility instead of fear. You rehearse competence instead of failure. You feed gratitude instead of complaint. You visualize with feeling not as fantasy, but as familiar territory. This is not wishful thinking. It is mental training. Athletes use it. Leaders use it. Performers use it. And the Stoics practiced it daily through reflection, self-examination, and intentional thought. Here's how focused attention directly shapes manifestation in 2026. It filters perception. You start noticing opportunities, resources, and connections that were always there but invisible to a distracted mind. It conditions the nervous system. What you repeatedly imagine with emotion becomes familiar, and what is familiar stops triggering fear when it arrives. It sharpens decision-making. A mind trained on clarity makes different choices than a mind saturated with doubt, and it radiates coherence. People unconsciously trust and respond to someone whose attention is directed, calm, and stable. Picture a real example. You want to grow your income, impact, or career this year. The scattered version spends most of its energy on worry, comparison, and self-doubt. Creation happens, but inconsistently. Momentum stalls. The focused version makes one decision. For the next 90 days, my attention belongs to value, growth, and trust. Every time the mind drifts to fear, it is gently but firmly redirected. Morning and evening, the future is rehearsed emotionally, not forced, but familiarized. Over weeks, the shift is undeniable. You notice openings you would have missed. Ideas come more easily. You show up with steadiness, and people respond differently. Small wins compound, because you actually see them and build on them. How to practice focused attention this week. Choose one primary focus for the next 30 days. One sentence. Write it down. Throughout the day, notice when attention leaks into fear or comparison. Pause. Breathe. Redirect. I choose to place my attention on. Spend 5 minutes in the morning and evening feeling the version of life you're building. Calm, grounded, already in motion. At night, audit gently. Where did my attention go today? Then decide again. Create one anchor phrase you return to whenever you need to recenter. My attention creates my reality. Focused attention doesn't mean never having negative thoughts. It means deciding which thoughts get to stay. The Stoics understood the mind as fertile soil. Whatever you plant and water will grow. If this rule feels empowering and sobering, that's a good sign. It means you're realizing how much power has been leaking and how much is now available to you. Anchor it now. Comment below. I focus with intention. And when you're ready, we arrive at the final rule, the one that completes the circle and brings everything into harmony. Rule 10. Surrender and acceptance, the final key that completes everything. We have now walked through 9 powerful Stoic principles that together form a complete inner architecture for manifestation in 2026. Desiring without clinging, living fully in the present, transforming every obstacle into preparation, commanding your own inner world, knowing when to pause instead of force, operating from the frequency of enough, expressing yourself without masks, trusting the larger timing of life, deliberately directing your attention. Rule 10 is not just another step. It is the completion, the closing of the circle, the moment when effort turns into ease and striving becomes allowing. Surrender and acceptance. This is the rule most people resist the most because it feels like giving up. But in the Stoic understanding, surrender is the opposite of defeat. It is the highest form of strength. Epictetus taught this with absolute clarity. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Marcus Aurelius lived this principle every single day while facing war, plague, betrayal, and the constant pressure of ruling an empire. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Surrender does not mean stopping action, becoming passive, lowering your standards, or giving up on your dreams. Surrender means you do everything that is within your power with full commitment, excellence, and integrity, and then you release your grip on the outcome. You accept that some things will arrive exactly as you envisioned. Some things will arrive in a completely different form. Some things will not arrive at all. And that is not failure. That is redirection. When you fight reality with thoughts like "this should have happened by now," "this shouldn't have happened," "I can't accept this," you create inner war. That inner war leaks into your energy, your decisions, your presence, and repels what you're trying to call in. But when you practice radical acceptance of what is, while still holding clear intention for what you are moving toward, something profound occurs. You stop being at war with life, and life stops resisting you back. You set a big goal for the year: financial freedom, a soul-level relationship, deep inner peace, meaningful impact, vibrant health, creative mastery. You take aligned action every day. You show up consistently. You learn from every setback. You express your authentic self. You focus your attention deliberately. You live from enough. You trust the timing. And then life does what life does. Sometimes the result arrives beautifully and on time. Sometimes it arrives later, in a different form, through a different door. Sometimes it doesn't arrive, and instead something better or more necessary takes its place. The surrendered mind responds the same way in every case. This is what is happening right now. I accept it fully. I will continue to do my part with love and excellence. And I trust that what is truly meant for me cannot miss me. This is not resignation. This is alignment. Surrender is the final and most powerful key to manifestation because it removes the last layer of resistance. Fighting reality is the ultimate energetic block. It frees enormous emotional and mental energy that can now go into creation, presence, joy, and service, instead of defense and control. It allows life to surprise you in the best ways. Many of the greatest manifestations come through paths you never could have planned or forced. It turns you into someone who can hold success when it arrives. A person who has learned to accept both gain and loss with equanimity is someone who can receive abundance without self-sabotage. You've been working toward a major life shift all year, perhaps leaving a draining job, building a business that matters, healing a long-standing wound, or finding a relationship that feels like home. Months pass. Some progress, some setbacks. The exact picture you held in your mind hasn't fully materialized yet. In the non-surrendered version, you tighten, you doubt, you start forcing, settling, or despairing. You either burn out or accept something much smaller than your soul wanted. In the surrendered version, you feel the disappointment and you let yourself feel it fully. Then you breathe and say, I accept that this is the current chapter. I still hold the vision. I will keep showing up as the person capable of receiving it, and I release how and when it must look. Very often, sometimes immediately, sometimes after more seasons of growth, life delivers something that either matches your original vision or exceeds it in ways you couldn't have imagined. To practice surrender and acceptance this week, begin with a daily surrender statement in the morning and evening. Speak or write these words. I accept what is. I release what I cannot control. I continue to act with love and clarity. What is mine will find me. Next, use the acceptance pause. Whenever you feel resistance to reality with thoughts like this shouldn't be happening, pause for 3 deep breaths and say silently, this is what is. I accept it. Then ask, what small aligned action can I take from this place of acceptance? Do one full surrender ritual. Write a letter to life or to the universe, or to whatever you call the larger intelligence. In it, acknowledge what you've been fighting or demanding. State your honest intention. Explicitly release the outcome by writing, I surrender how this must look and when it must arrive. Then burn it, tear it, or keep it somewhere private, whatever feels like real release to you. Finally, celebrate acceptance moments. Whenever you catch yourself accepting a delay, a no, a redirection, or an unexpected turn, acknowledge it by saying, today I surrendered instead of fought. That was real power. Surrender and acceptance is not the end of desire or action. It is the purification of both. You keep walking the path, but without carrying the heavy suitcase of it has to be this way, or I'm broken. And when you walk that lightly, the river of life carries you much farther, much faster, and often to more beautiful places than you ever planned. This completes the 10 Stoic rules for manifesting everything you truly want in 2026. If this final rule feels like both a deep exhale and a new beginning, if you can sense the freedom in letting go of the last thread of control, then claim it right now in the comments. I relax. I trust. I receive. Write it. Feel it land in your body. You now have the full ancient blueprint. The question is no longer will it happen. The question is, how fully will you live, starting today, as the person who is already ready to receive it? Let's bring this journey to a close by returning to the core truth you've been circling the entire time. What you've just learned are not tricks, not hacks, not motivational slogans. They are a Stoic blueprint for relaxed intention, a way of moving through life without friction, without panic, without self-betrayal. Think back through the 10 rules you've just walked through. Detached desire, present moment magnetism, the alchemy of obstacles, inner authority, strategic stillness, the philosophy of enough, authentic expression, trust in timing, focused attention, and finally, surrender and acceptance. Each one points to the same conclusion from a different angle. Manifestation in 2026 will not come from doing more, forcing more, or chasing harder. It will come from subtraction, letting go of desperation, letting go of anxiety, letting go of the belief that something outside you must arrive before you are allowed to be calm. Stop chasing outcomes. Start becoming aligned. Stop negotiating your peace. Start governing it. Stop acting from lack. Start moving from wholeness. That is the Stoic way. The ancient Stoics didn't build influence, resilience, and empires by being frantic. They built them from clarity, from discipline, from inner order. And the world responded, not because they demanded it, but because they were prepared, steady, and unshakable. In 2026, you don't need to control the river of life. It is already flowing. Your only task is to stop fighting it long enough to be carried in the right direction. When you release tension, timing aligns. When you release fear, clarity sharpens. When you release the need to prove yourself, opportunities arrive with less resistance. So let me ask you again, just as we did at the beginning. What if success was never about pushing harder? What if the real breakthrough comes the moment you finally let go? If this video shifted something inside you, don't rush past that feeling. Anchor it. Like the video, so this message reaches others who are chasing too hard. Come on, I relax. I trust. I receive. As a commitment to a calmer, stronger way forward. Subscribe if you want to continue walking the Stoic path toward clarity, not chaos. And share this with someone who's exhausted from trying to force life to cooperate. You now have the ancient blueprint. You have the rules. You have the discipline. The only thing left is to live it. The river is already moving. Let it carry you.